When a vehicle owner brings in a car for an estimate, they have begun the repair process. Estimation is a very involved process, and an insured in a drivable vehicle should expect to spend at least an hour at the repair facility if their insurance company or authorized field appraiser hasn't already completed an estimate of damage. The estimate procedure is: the shop estimator asks if the insurer has prepared an estimate. We check for insurance information and perform a vehicle inspection. We document the collision damages. We perform a preliminary estimate using appraisal software on our computer. The estimator explains the procedure. In order to help set the customer's expectations, the estimator typically will explain how an estimate is written and what they look for. Key here is to explain that every repair is different, and the different things can cause delays or differences in the completion of the repair. The estimator gathers information. A key for the estimator is to understand the accident. This will help him evaluate the events that contributed to the damage and may help them to uncover the unforeseen but related damages. It also helps from an empathy standpoint and to get the customer comfortable. Since this is an infrequent and traumatic event, insureds like to relive it as a part of the healing process. The estimator is now ready to inspect the vehicle for all the damages. There are a few steps in this process. Inspect the entire vehicle to understand the damage. Collision damages are now documented. The estimator gives a preliminary report of what damage has occurred and related to the accident. With this information, the estimator then performs a preliminary estimate and checks all the insurance information. In some cases, an estimate may not be required. In other cases, an insurance appraisal may have to visit the shop to prepare an estimate and secure an agreed price for the repairs. In the case of a direct repair program or network partnership between the shop and the insurance company, the customer usually just signs the consent form and the car is taken to the shop to begin repairs. This is because some shops have been granted the authority through the insurance company to act as its company's appraiser per se. We review the estimate with the insured, giving the insured a detailed description of the estimate. The insured again understands the process and expectations are being shaped. The estimator will explain the damages, additional charges, and any roadblocks that may exist, such as parts delays, or if a more complete estimate is needed in a teardown stage. Here, an estimator is documenting the vehicle damage. A collision claim happens every 25 minutes in the United States, or 11 million times annually. The estimator has evaluated the damage, so now a formal estimate listing all the repairs, parts, the time, and the cost must be prepared. In most shops, computer and specific software programs do this. Although it may be a technically astute individual handwriting that estimate, insureds would seek out a shop that uses computerized estimating with all the different models and enormous amounts of parts, as well as the complexity of some of the systems, such as anti-lock brakes or airbags. It is a wise idea to have a database-driven system that ensures accuracy and completeness in the estimate and the procedures. When an estimator writes an estimate, they begin by listing the first panel or a part affected by the collision. Continuing inward, the process is completed when the last visible damaged part has been examined and documented. This process is commonly referred to the point of impact inward estimating, which follows the flow of impact energy in a natural and logical progression. This also leads us to another unique advantage of the computerized system: P-page logic or procedural page logic. P-page logic ensures that the refinished materials costs are applied, as well as adjustments to labor times for duplicate or overlapping operations. This will ensure that all parts and procedures are covered, as well as looking at any unnecessary duplication of procedures or labor times.